How's it going, everybody? Welcome back for another Emerald City Hockey post-game live. Unfortunately, got to celebrate an OTL on this occasion. RJ with the Kraken falling to the Devils 3-2 in overtime off of Nico Hischier's second goal of the game. Just, it just felt like a weird night, didn't it? This whole game.
Yeah, it did feel kind of odd throughout the whole game. I don't know. I felt like it was very much Lane Lambert hockey. It was low event. Kraken kind of kept it close. No really dangerous chances, but at the same time, it felt like it was high scoring after a while. Like shouldn't have been 2-2 given how few opportunities there were. There were a couple weird bounces. There was a power play goal each. It felt like high scoring for how low event it should have been, but then the events picked up a little bit and then it felt about right, but not in the right way. I'm not sure exactly what to make of this one. Aside from this is just the Lane Lambert blueprint, right? Keep it really low event, keep it kind of boring hockey, have it go to a coin flip enough times. And because of the NHL's rules, you get half a win out of it.
Well, and that's certainly like the case on the Kraken side of things. And then on the New Jersey side of things, they're just a team that's struggling right now. And so I think that's why they were kind of inconsistent all throughout the evening. But yeah, it was just a night where it was like I was sitting there and I was watching the game and I was like, and I almost put this in the Discord with about like 5 minutes left of the game where I was going to say, wow, I'm really waiting for something to happen that we could talk about on post game live, because
the same thing.
It just felt like there was just nothing to this game. It was just kind of back and forth. The goals happen. We could break those down, and of course we will. But it did not feel like there was any sort of particular flavor to this one that kind of would set the tone for what we're going to talk about tonight. And maybe that is. Maybe the flavor is just this.
Bland, the flavor is bland. I mean, and I know that's not necessarily fun to talk about in a post game, but I feel like Lane Lambert must love that. I'm sure he's not happy with how the overtime went, but I'm sure he's thrilled with how regulation went. It was bland, it was flavorless, and that's what's going to lead the Kraken to success.
Yeah. Where things are not bland and flavorless, RJ, and that is, of course, Queen Anne Beer Hall, our wonderful sponsor for these post game lives.
Oh, the absolute opposite of bland and flavorless. I mean, their food is excellent. Dylan, I have so many things I could talk about with the beer hall, but one thing I want to mention is what's going on right now at Queen Anne Beer Hall tonight, because I think it's just such a cool, weird event that it's just such a beer hall thing to happen. Dylan, have you heard of the Stephen Hauschka Celebrity Ping Pong Tournament?
What?
You remember Stephen Hauschka?
I do.
I had him on your fantasy roster as a kicker a couple times at some point. But yeah, Stephen Hauschka and others are having a celebrity ping pong tournament tonight from 7 to 10. Actually, it starts in 19 minutes at the beer hall. These kind of fun events. I love it. Like, this is the kind of stuff the beer hall does.
That's pretty awesome, actually. Celebrity ping pong tournaments tend to be like really cool events. Like, obviously growing up in LA, there's the infamous Clayton Kershaw one that would be played at Dodger Stadium. They set up tables all across the outfield at Dodger Stadium. That is probably a pretty good event. Like, I would go to that if we didn't have to do post game. Like, that's probably a lot of fun.
I know, hey, if we lobby the beer hall guys enough, maybe we could be celebrity entrants in the. Yes. I mean, just get destroyed at ping pong by Stephen Hauschka. Other former
I'm not good at it at all.
Yeah. No, it's we would not do well.
It would be a lot of fun, but yeah, that's good stuff there from the beer hall. As always, they've always got something fun going on there. We'll kick things off here in comment section. We got Christian caught the last period in OT. Too bad they couldn't get the win for birthday boy. Kitty Cats. Yes, Berkeley Cat, and turning 20 years old today, RJ. And for anybody who has not seen it, go and look at the video of the Kraken players in the locker room singing him happy birthday and then handing him a jug of milk.
It matches the flavor of the game.
It does. This game was very milk flavored. I agree. But great video. And what did it say on it? It said like kitty
cat, I think.
Kitty
like
something.
No, kitty milk.
Yeah, kitty milk. I think right?
That's what it was. Yeah.
I think that they had written on there. But really fun video. Definitely recommend that for Kraken fans to go and check that one out.
I think that's a good sign of a healthy locker room culture too. Just that kind of stuff happening.
Well, yeah, milk's a very healthy drink.
Oh yes, of course. That's what I meant by that.
Exactly. But yeah, and then as far as like him in the game, obviously he had that one chance where he kind of threw it just wide. You could tell that he wanted that one back a little bit, Berkeley Catton, where he had that opportunity to maybe go far corner in tight, kind of close to the goal line on Markstrom. He wanted that one back. For me, though, the most impressive play of the night from Berkeley Catton, and I turned to Julia and I was like, this tells me that he's going to be a breakout player next year, that he's starting to make plays like this now. It means it should translate to a lot of production next year once he has, the rest of the season under his belt. It was in the second period, I think. Yeah,
I
second.
think I know the one you're talking about.
Right, where he was just in the slot, like kind of surrounded by Devils defenders, and the puck kind of gets to him, and he's able to kind of fight through all that traffic and get a shot off. It wasn't like quite a one timer, but he was able to get the shot off from that really dangerous area. And I was just struck because I was like, I'm just not used to seeing Kraken players there. Like that's like an elite, like next tier up from what we normally see from the Kraken kind of play, where you've put yourself in a prime scoring area. You're able to make a play on the puck, despite the fact that there's 3 or 4 guys closing in and all around you. And, Markstrom makes the save. It's, it happens. But I was just like, that's the kind of going to an area, being able to make that play in traffic that we just haven't seen a lot of players wear Kraken sweaters that have those instincts and then the skill to try to pull off that play.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen a few of those from Berkeley Catton this season. I mean, there's another one too that I was thinking about. Was it the third period? You got to say no to the dogs.
I know she's getting into stuff she's not supposed to get into.
I think it might have been the third period where he had the puck in traffic in the offensive zone and was able to just dangle it away from a few players, find Vince Dunn open, and then Dunn shoots it. Shane Wright makes a good tip on it and then goes kind of tumbling toward the net for the rebound. But that's another play where I'm just in that tight area to be able to stick handle in a phone booth like that and make a play out of it. That's what makes Berkeley Catton so special.
Definitely. Jason, I never miss Monty more than when it gets to 3-on-3. That is definitely true. It does feel like the Kraken, he kind of swings things in the Kraken's favor when he's available for those 3-on-3 overtimes.
Yeah, because he can cover all 200 feet of ice and really fast. I mean, that's the key characteristic of the 3-on-3 overtime when it does break down, is you're going to have guys who are 2 or 3 strides out of position. You need someone who can make up those 2 or 3 strides, whether it's to get back on a play like this for Hischier. I mean, if Brandon Montour is out there, he's making up those extra strides. He's taking Hischier out of the play. That's the end of it. Or to join a 2-on-1 rush or something when you're going the other way after defending. Montour is just so good at that stuff.
Yeah, he has that finishing ability. He's not afraid to be aggressive, take the shot in that situation. So definitely miss him for those overtimes. And then speaking of that Nico Hischier goal to win it in overtime, Maddie here. So what happened on that last play that won the Devils the game? Just a bad change? No, it was just they committed to the offensive chance. Vince Dunn came in. Who was it? Was it Eberle who made the pass over?
Yeah, it was
Vince
Eberle.
Dunn?
I believe it was Eberle, yeah.
Yeah. Vince Dunn goes in, takes the shot. I mean, it's a good aggressive play. If overtime ends there, that's exactly kind of what you want it to look like. But unfortunately, Markstrom makes the save. Devils recover the rebound, and then they just were able to get the break up the ice. Kraken just had too many guys committed down low.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And that's something that is necessary sometimes in the 3-on-3 overtime. You need to manage risk. And I understand it a little bit too, given how the overtime had gone up until that point where the Kraken had barely had the puck at all. And so I think you maybe do get a little aggressive. You do jump in a little bit high when that's the case. And you feel like, well, this might be our only chance. If we give it up with a minute 20 or whatever it was left, we're probably not going to get the puck back. And then we go to a shootout. And I think that's got to creep into your mind also, just given how they've done in shootouts.
Yeah, I think so. There was even somebody on Discord who made the comment about, wow, Dev's probably just playing for the shootout at this point, given, what the Kraken record is there and everything. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't mind going for the win, right? And especially in this current point system where you're just talking about a 1-point swing or whatever. I'm in favor of playing aggressive in this 3-on-3 overtime. Go for the win, take those chances. If you get burned like the Kraken do in this instance, it just doesn't really matter that much, right? And like maybe if it was closer standing, something like that, maybe I'd be talking different. But certainly, given how they are as a shootout team, I just think it's better to play aggressive and go for those chances. I think you'll end up walking away with the 2 points more often than not if you play aggressive like that.
Well, that's the thing. I think the later
Not
in overtime,
reckless, but aggressive.
no, I got that. I got that. And that's again, it's not like a turnover on a very low percentage pass or a shot from way on the perimeter. Like you got a decent chance at that. And the thing
Yeah.
is too, the Devils button hook after that. Like they give the Kraken some time to get back. And that's one where also Vince Dunn ends up getting a change. And I do wonder if that might be not the best change, but we can't really see it on the broadcast angle exactly where it happens. So it's hard for me to evaluate.
Yeah, definitely. Lindsay, well, that was certainly a hockey game. It was. And then George here. Boys desperately needed some white monsters during the second intermission. It was a weird one, that like kind of lull the Kraken had. Really, through the second, end of the second, but then like into the third, it was just like it was a rough third period from the Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, they had a stretch after the first few minutes where I thought they had a good amount of offensive zone time, looked like they were pushing. But after a while, it really felt like this game had a bunch of swings of like long stretches of offensive zone time and teams would kind of trade it. And it felt like the Devils would get about 2 of those for every 1 the Kraken got. But that seemed like the flow of this one, if there really was a flow. But, after the 8 minutes to go mark or so, the Devils were just pushing, trying to get in regulation, and just the Kraken were trying to hang on.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like that. It was like that last 10 minutes, like that last 8 minutes, whatever it was. I was like, okay, why are the Kraken not able to get anything going here? All right, I was really trying to figure it out so that we could talk about it here on postgame for everybody. And I just think at the end of the day, all I could kind of come around to was like they just weren't really going for it. Like it
Well, and I
wasn't
think
anything system wise.
it wasn't anything system wise, but where I found that the Devils kept being able to keep the pressure going, and this was different earlier in the game, was just that the Kraken were not winning those races to loose pucks in their own D zone, and the Devils were consistently getting to those pucks faster. And I think it's just one of those where it's that extra step, that extra little bit of effort, or maybe even a bounce that goes your way versus not. I think the Kraken have been pretty good at getting bounces to go their way in the D zone so that they can clear it. But I think part of that is just being in the right position. I don't think that's all luck. And it just wasn't there for him. It's kind of the way I thought about it was it's almost how you would expect a team to look on the second half of a back-to-back, not the first.
Right. No, I agree with you. Like it was just that they were a step slower. I had an interesting conversation, and I'll call it a conversation, not so much an interview, with head coach of the Seattle Torrent earlier today, Steve O'Rourke. Charles, our friend from Circling Seattle Sports, and I were talking with him, and he mentioned, because obviously the Torrent just finished a long road trip, how things slowly like break down when you're on the road as a team, and how it's not just that you're away from home, you're not sleeping in your own bed, you're away from your family, how much of your routine as a group when it comes to practicing, training, recovery, all of that is just really not there for you when you're on the road. You're practicing at very different times. You're totally thrown off by that. And it kind of felt like this was that game for the Kraken where it's like that momentum that you can start a road trip with. It's like you hit this point where you kind of turn a corner and it's like, okay, now we've just been on the road for a little while and all of those little things start kind of catching up to us. And so maybe I'm reading too much into it, or it's just because I had that conversation with O'Rourke earlier, but it felt like that with this game where it was like, okay, maybe this is just that point in the road trip where the Kraken have been out of their normal routine kind of long enough that it's throwing them off just that little bit. And New Jersey was able to take advantage of it.
That's really interesting. And I know Steve O'Rourke is incredibly candid with the media and the answers that he gives. So I would buy into that really, because I think that's probably something universal around teams that maybe an NHL head coach wouldn't talk about or bring up to media. But Steve O'Rourke, as awesome as he is, has no problem with it.
We got so many good things. We were like, hey, can we just talk to you real quick? And then he gave us basically a half an hour. And it was just all him talking. It was incredible. Definitely credit to him. But yeah, that was the one thing that I was like, okay, he really like broke it down kind of how that works on the road, because you and I know this from being at KCI and seeing things, or when the Kraken are on the road, and maybe we're on the road with them. One of the big things is that when you're the road team, you practice second. right? So you're pushed to a worse slot. You're practicing or you're doing your morning skate closer to game time. You're generally fitting into a schedule where all of a sudden that practice is going to get pushed up against other events that might happen on that ice at some point. So you just don't get that kind of cushion that you normally would in your home facility of like before and after practice. You're just really sandwiched into your 1 hour, and you're doing it a lot later in the day than you normally would. And that, of course, throws off these athletes who are very used to being particular about how their day is structured and when they do certain things for their bodies. It was a really interesting conversation. I could definitely see that taking a toll on longer road trips for these teams. Virginia, thanks for all the content this week. You're very welcome, Virginia. And yeah, it feels like a busy week, and we're kind of halfway through.
Right back at it tomorrow with the live game commentary on Patreon.
Yep, definitely looking forward to that one. Wisconsin Kraken fan, I was hoping we could have another little cat goal. Again, I think next year is going to be the year. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he's a little streaky the rest of the way this year as he continues to figure things out. But based on what I'm seeing, I think next year is the one. And then Julia Gru's poke check on the shorthanded breakaway was awesome. That was also a moment where it was like, okay, this is a different Grubauer than what we've seen these last couple of years. Only a goalie that's really feeling it makes a play like that.
Absolutely. Like, that is as much a sign of confidence as anything. And Grubauer is not the kind of goalie who I think would usually opt to go and jump out at a puck like that, but shows how much he feels like it's going to go right for me. Because you don't have really time to calculate the odds in your head, to do all the geometry and all that stuff. You just have to ask yourself the question in the moment: do I think this is going to work out for me? Are things working out for me? Do I feel lucky? And I think he does.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Jason with the air flavored hockey, which is definitely not wrong. And then Christian with Kraken play like Dylan's favorite foods. And like, I don't think I eat bland food. I eat limited food. And like,
White
I guess
rice.
limited like
plain pasta.
The Kraken. I don't always just eat plain pasta.
At least your croutons are seasoned.
Yeah, the croutons are very seasoned. I eat very spicy things though sometimes.
That's true.
Sometimes.
This was not one of the spicy buffalo sauce games.
This was not a spicy buffalo sauce or spicy ramen or any of those kinds of games. No, it was not. This was the pasta with butter on it kind of game. So I guess I'll let Christian slide on this one. Sean really needed that second point. Could be a tough one tomorrow night. I don't know. I think the Kraken could play Boston pretty tough in that one. You get Joey starting in Boston. I think that's going to be a good one. I think like with the way Grubauer is playing, the fact that yes, you have all these back-to-backs is going to be tough on everybody, but it also means that like, you know, after tonight, it's like, oh, Grubauer only got us 1 point. Tomorrow we have to start Joey Decord. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, and also the Kraken just played the Bruins a week ago. Like last week they played the Bruins and it went well. They got a big 7. They put up 7 goals. Like I'm not really concerned about tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And then James Stevenson can still never win a meaningful faceoff, and Evans looked horrible tonight. Again, Stevenson, we could credit it to the rust of just being out of the lineup for a little bit and coming back in. I want to
credit it to Nico Hischier.
There is also that, and you feel free to. I would be curious, and I know somebody somewhere must track this, and they probably work for an NHL team, but the idea of like meaningful face-offs versus just regular face-offs. And I know certainly if you talk to anybody in hockey, if you were to talk to a coach, they'd say like, just like they do with everything, right? Oh, we didn't actually lose it on that play. It was everything that led up to that moment being that important that meant that we lost it, kind of thing. But I would be very curious for, face-offs with X number of time left based on score of the game, offensive or defensive zone, overtime face-off numbers. Like I would be curious in having that data available.
Yeah, and I'm sure every team has that stuff regularly available as they evaluate it, because some face-offs mean so much more than others.
Yeah.
But this one, I just think it was Nico Hischier. Like, you put him out there for a clutch draw, he needs to win, he's going to win it.
Yeah, that is just kind of who he is. It's also one of those things where I'm like, the NHL should, like, the NHL has that, right? It's being input who won and lost the face-off, what the score of the game is, and at what time. Why can't the NHL just kind of figure out a way of just code something in there and then we have access to that? Like you have all that data. It's not like somebody has to go back and manually track it and add it all in. The data all
Right.
exists there.
There's got to be just a filter by maybe zone of event or something, which again, I'm sure some of the stats sites could have, but like NHL, why not do it?
Exactly. Well, we know why, because they've
Well,
openly
yeah.
talked about how they don't think fans are interested in anything meaningful or fun at all. Love it. And then with Riker Evans did struggle tonight. He did look rough in this one. Do you think he looked rough enough to maybe get, to sit tomorrow night?
Maybe. I mean, I think given that it's a back-to-back too, I think you could almost too sit him and not even have the reason, just be like, look, it's a back-to-back. We're trying to get guys in. It's been a while since Mahura's had the chance to draw in.
Yeah.
I might look at it even just for that reason.
Right. But yeah, I would consider that. Interestingly, though, Jamie Alexiak last on the team in ice time in this one, which I just found a little curious.
Well, there was one play too, and the broadcast broke it down kind of like a good thing, talking about the timing of Alexiak's pinch in the third period. And I had to say it on the Discord. I'm like, am I the only one who thought that was a bad pinch? Look, they get a scoring chance out of it. It works out insanely well. Like they get super lucky on it. But in the third period of a tied game, I don't want my defense pinching up like that to try and make a hit. If it doesn't slip under the Devils player's stick, that's a 2-on-1 or whatever, rush the other way. I didn't like that. And so maybe there's some of the decision making that maybe Lane Lambert saw what I saw.
Yeah, I am wondering, fewer shifts than everybody as well. I am wondering if he kind of got sat for the rest of it. After that, Jason, celebrity tournament at Queen Anne Beer Hall, and they didn't invite RJ and Dylan. Makes me question the credibility. And then Kitty B Kraken in there with the RJ Supreme.
I like that. Well, here's the thing. I already burned all of my points to be the celebrity judge for the chili cook-off.
You did.
That's where I spent all my capital. So can't blame the beer hall in that one. I already used up all of my cachet for that one. Worth it. No regrets.
Yes, definitely. And then Stratic, eventually all this overtime practice will create the greatest 3v3 hockey team in history. I do think like the Kraken have a pretty good group for that, in part because, especially when Brandon Montour is healthy, they have so many mobile defensemen. I do think that is one of those keys to kind of unlocking a better 3v3, overtime playing team.
Yeah. I still, though, I mean, after seeing him for 3 years, like, or, beyond that, like, I don't know that reps are going to be enough with this group. I think like that they're going to really improve things. Again, I like how Lambert's had him playing smarter in overtime generally, but it's fallen off the last couple games. I think it's just going to be personnel. So much of it is.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what's being talked about in these next couple comments. First one from Sean, crazy statement. I think I would have preferred the shootout after watching that OT. And then from George, they haven't been great in OT lately either. At least the shootout is more of a dart throw, really missing Monty. I mean, do you think they would have been better off trying to play for the shootout? I don't.
No, I don't think so either. I don't. I mean, look, they playing like that, they weren't going to win in overtime. That just probably wasn't going to happen in the 5-minute constraint. But I still don't think if you're this Kraken team, you ever want to play for a shootout. Certainly not with the skill that the Devils have. Like, I wasn't very impressed by Jack Hughes in this game. I know you always say that he's never good when you're watching, but he's probably scoring in the like in a shootout. I believe in him.
Yeah,
Nico Hischier, the way he's playing, I believe in him. I think the Devils get at least 2 goals. I don't trust the Kraken skaters to score at least 2 goals.
It's not even just like those guys, Bratt, Timo Meyer, they have guys that could go out there in the shootout that I feel like they have kind of a deeper bench for that than the Kraken, given the Kraken refused to put Adam Larson there.
Yeah. I mean, again, all these shootout struggles are by choice at the end of the day for the Kraken.
Yeah, they are self-inflicted wounds for sure.
Matt saying Hughes got 3 assists. I know. I don't know. I guess that's good.
I know. I'd have to go back and see them. There is such a thing, I believe, as like an empty calorie assist. And I do believe in that. I don't know that was necessarily the case with all these from Hughes.
I mean, he makes a good cross ice pass to Hischier on the Devils' second goal, but like that's still a shot that, like, not a dangerous area shot.
Right.
Like that, pass isn't anything insane. And I believe his assist on the first one was winning the face-off back to the point.
He actually is not right now on NHL.com. He doesn't have an assist from that play.
Oh, okay.
It's just glass from Hamilton. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. He is good at something. Everybody loves him, and he puts up a ton of numbers. So he is good. It's just never when we happen to be paying
Yeah.
attention to him. That's all. Uh, let's see. I do agree with Sean here on this one. I kind of dig the downtrodden way everyone's handling this 1 point game. I think our expectations have shifted quite a bit, and that's a good thing. I do think our expectations have shifted, especially in these last couple weeks where the Kraken are back in a playoff spot. It feels, as we've been talking about on the deep dive, expectations are the postseason. Like, I did kind of feel that way for this one. It did feel like, okay, this was actually a disappointing game, despite the fact that the Kraken, walk away with a point.
Yeah, and I like having standards that are higher. That's very much a thing for me. I don't like letting the team off easy, especially if they, have chosen the direction of up. When if they're playing the young guys, if it's transition year or whatever, we can let this stuff go. But given it's playoffs or bust, we got to treat them like a playoff team and the expectations there. And I know I always say, good teams find a way to get at least a point in these situations. They did that. That's the key part of it. They survived, but I think it's fair to want better. Certainly in the last two overtimes, like given that trend, you're going to throw away a lot of points if you
Yeah,
play this poorly in overtime. They haven't all season, but if you continue what you've done the last two games, it's going to be a problem for you.
definitely, definitely. And then while we're still talking about overtime, Mason being great at getting to OT, but not being good at 3-on-3 work well come playoff time. And that is true because you won't be dealing with the 3-on-3 OT stuff in the playoffs. You'll just be dealing with more 5-on-5. And anything can happen in that kind of golden goal situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this kind of just surviving the end of regulation, that's the kind of thing you'll need in the playoffs, probably at certain times when the other team puts on a big push. They'll probably be a better team than you if you do squeak into the playoffs, to be able to defend against, an Edmonton or Vegas or a Colorado, which is what it looks like it might set up to be. You're going to need to have that same skill set.
Definitely. Jason, the Devils have one less point than the Kraken and are 5 spots out of the playoffs in the East, while the Kraken are sitting comfortably in a playoff spot right now. Obviously, there's so many different ways that you can break down the standings and everything, but I do think that that is why, if it felt like for the last 8 minutes of the third period and through overtime, the Devils may have been pressuring a little bit harder than the Kraken. It's because their situations are very different.
That's true. The bar is much higher for New Jersey being in the East. And yeah, the Kraken just need to collect their points and they'll probably be okay. I was looking at this out of curiosity because the Kraken had a 567 points percentage here through 45 games. And I was just looking at like January 14th, just every year for the last decade or so. And I want to see kind of how it compares the situation they're in. And only 1 year out of the last 10 would the Kraken's current record like be enough to be in a playoff spot on January 14th. Like this is a very unusual situation they find themselves in.
Definitely, definitely. And we're getting to hear a little bit here from Coach Lane Lambert, thanks to Virginia in chat. So thank you very much for that. Lane didn't think that the team was sharp. And when Piper asked him why they weren't able to generate offense in overtime, came back with, quote, well, they had the puck the whole time, which is not wrong.
That's a very Lane Lambert answer. And it's true. I can't argue with it. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, you can't score if you don't have the puck. And I'm with you. That's why they were so aggressive on that opportunity when they did have it, because the way they were playing, potentially if they turn over the puck in that situation, they weren't going to get it back. Now, that is what ultimately ended up happening is the puck ends up back with New Jersey, and that was it. But I agree with kind of going for it in that moment and trying to let, one of your best players in Vince Dunn have the freedom and the flexibility to step way up, be aggressive, and try to win the game. I just generally think that that's a good way of doing it and doing things. From B, I do like the Devils, but I think just once it would be nice for the Kraken to be the one to win the Cryptid Cup. Have they never won it? I can't
Like they
like
must have.
I can't think of a moment off the top of my head where they've beat the Devils, but like I feel like it must have happened. But yes, I agree. Like largely, it has mostly been a New Jersey
Yeah, New
dominated
Jersey is 6-0
matchup.
and 2 against the Kraken all time. Um, let's see. Were
So
those
see,
early
getting the
wins,
OT might
22
have
and
been
23. I
okay.
don't know when they had the trophy start.
That's true.
So I don't know, because that's the thing. The Cryptid Cup wasn't from the start, I don't think. That wasn't a year one thing. But yeah, the Kraken's
Yeah,
last win against the Devils was January of 2023.
it's
So
been a
about 3
minute.
years ago.
Been a minute. I'll have to wait till January of next year because the schedule just doesn't seem to change for the Kraken yearly. So got a ways to wait, unfortunately, for that one. And then George, they need to bring back Mario Kart on the road, missing Morgan Geeky on and off the ice. It has been a long time since we've heard anybody talk about Mario Kart or video games at all in the locker room, for that matter.
Yeah, I think they're over it. I think that was a Morgan Geeky thing. I'd love to ask actually Geeky if they still play or do something in the Bruins room, if that's
Yeah.
become a thing, just transport it over to Boston. I mean, like I know Geeky and his brothers play Call of Duty, and his dad play Call of Duty together all the time, like while they're out on the road and stuff. But I don't know if that's spread.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know that and see. Maddie asking, when's Monty supposed to be back? I don't think we have, like, there's not any sort of set date that they have announced, but he has been practicing with the team. He traveled with the team for this road trip. He's practicing, and was it today or yesterday that he shed the red no contact jersey for the full contact jersey?
Well, yes, but then Lambert after the practice said, well, there was no contact in practice anyway, so there was no reason to put him in a red no contact jersey. So he kind of talked
Ooh.
that one down a little bit. But he did Jason Bottrill though today when he was on the Kraken's pregame show. I think he also did a spot with Frank Saravalli. I don't know why today is the day for the Bottrill media tour.
Yeah.
But he did say that he's hopeful that Montour is going to be able to come back at some point during the road trip. So that if that gives any insight to it.
They wouldn't have taken him if it wasn't on the table.
Right.
Like that's generally the way it is. So I don't know about tomorrow. I mean, maybe they would on the second half of a back-to-back put him back
It'd be
in.
nice.
Otherwise, I could definitely see it was a Saturday in Utah being
Yeah.
the time. Yeah. So we'll see.
Soon enough.
Definitely. Jason, we get Boston Maddie. We do get Boston Maddie tomorrow. We get Boston Joey and Boston Maddie tomorrow, and I think that should mean the Kraken are going to be okay in that game.
I mean, with the
Knock
run
on
that
wood.
Matty Beniers is on, like Boston Matty plus how he's playing right now, I think we could see the potential for maybe a multi-point game.
Maybe. Stratic Grew is going to put Germany on his back and carry them to a 4th place finish to win an Olympic diploma. I mean, that would be really cool if it happened. I'm all for a team like Germany going on a run in the Olympics, and certainly if Gru could make it happen, that would be dope to watch.
Yeah, I love the underdog stories in the Olympics. Like those are great. And I mean, it's a bold prediction, but hey, if any team can do it in a small sample size, it's probably going to be goaltending driven. And oh yeah, he just happens to be the best goalie in the world right now. So that the stars could align. Plus, they've got some pretty good star power on that team. They have more high end players than the Kraken do.
I was gonna say, like, it would
Dreisaitl,
be
Stützle, Cider, like all
right.
three
Like
of them are better than the Kraken players. Like
I do genuinely believe, like, if Gru goes to the Olympics and plays the way that he's playing right now, he will have enough in front of him to, like, actually take advantage of those starts that he's giving them. You know what I mean? Like Leon Draisaitl alone should be able to help you win some of those games if you get the goaltending that Gru's providing right now. So I don't think, like, obviously there's still like a long shot to medal or anything like that, but if Germany was to be the country that went on the underdog run this year and kind of had that Olympic team of destiny thing, it wouldn't surprise me.
no, same here. I'm trying to see what group they're in. Like who else is in their group real quick.
It would have
But,
surprised me if you had asked me this over the off season, but right now it wouldn't surprise me.
oh yeah, for sure. I had a little different idea of what Grubauer brings to that team, I'd
Yeah.
say. They're in a group with the United States, Latvia, and Denmark. Man, that Latvia game, Latvia, Germany is gonna be 0-0 going into the shootout.
Oh my
or
God,
something.
that is gonna be a coach's dream of a game for sure.
Yeah. Lane Lambert's gonna stay up late to watch that one.
Yeah. But like there's no reason Germany shouldn't be able to finish definitely second in that group and then, probably play a pretty good game against US.
Yeah. No, I don't see why not.
Yeah, so that's a pretty favorable setup for them. Otherwise, I think the other underdog country for me that would be the country to watch would be the Swiss.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was
Damn,
looking around. I was like,
sorry.
I think Switzerland. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Sorry. No, just looking at those rosters, I was like, you know what? Swiss have slowly but surely been putting out, some really good talent and some good NHL
Like Nico
players
Hischier.
like Nico Hischier. I promise that's not why I'm saying this. Is just because we saw Nico Hischier score twice tonight. But I was really like, I was like, okay, because I'm used to thinking of almost all international stuff through the lens of World Juniors. And it would
Mhm.
always be like one of these guys at a time for the Swiss World Junior team. And then looking at the Olympic roster, also because we just haven't had Olympics with NHL players in so long, I was like, oh, there's actually like a nice collection of Swiss talent in the National Hockey League that's going to be able to go over there. They also have really good domestic players as well. I was like, this could be a team that could cause some problems for some people.
Yeah, they've slowly and sure but surely developed some of those guys. Kind of, you're right. They rarely come along together, but they're there. So, and by the way, everyone, I'm not like taking too much joy in Nico Hischier and his good game tonight. This is a long-standing
It
argument Bill
is.
and I have had about whether or not Nico Hischier is good. So I'm just scoring some victory points while I can here.
And it's not good. I acknowledge he's
Okay, how
good.
good he is.
How
Yes.
good he is, yes,
Yes.
specifically. So yeah, there you go. Pizza Steve, I like the Stevenson Gaudreau duo for overtime, and after Stevenson won faceoff, Gaudreau immediately ran off for a change. Good call to have both faceoff artists together in case of the false start. I do like that kind of strategy from Lane Lambert there for overtime.
Yeah, I mean, you see how important the face-off is too. If you lose it, you may not get the puck back for multiple minutes. So it is the most important part of everything. Yeah, put your two best face-off guys and a defenseman out there. No problem with it.
Yeah, I think it's solid. And then we got Christian. I watched some of the Rangers post-game show after said game. Interesting to see the Rangers media talk up the Kraken for being a solid team with Lane Lambert's system, along with how good goaltending has been and the locker room seeming to have the best chemistry ever. I'm starting to have reluctant excitement that this team is good in spite of the lack of offense. No, there is like genuine reasons why the Kraken are here. Like it isn't just the fact that the playoff bar is lower than ever. They are doing enough to put themselves into this position where they are the team that is clearing that low playoff bar versus many other teams in the West that still aren't able to do that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Although I will say, when it comes to
I
beating the
was I was
Rangers,
trying. I was
I
really
know, I know.
trying to
No,
like
no, like
find
you're
the
absolutely right. Separate point though, I've heard from plenty of people who've reached out to us, from Rangers land, talking about how a beer league team could beat the Rangers right now, and I don't really disagree. As
Oh yeah.
they gave up 8 goals to the Ottawa Senators tonight. The Rangers did. I think, look, good on the Kraken for taking care of business, but nobody's losing to the Rangers right now.
Oh, I agree. I was talking more generally.
Oh yeah, no, you're right, and I
in
agree with
terms
that
of where
point
they are.
completely. But I had to take the opportunity to talk about how pathetic the Rangers are right now because
Yeah,
oof, it is bad.
they are terrible. We got to see something from them soon.
Which I guess
They
the
have to
Rangers
do
post game
something.
show can't really say that, can they?
No, all they can do is heap praise on every opponent that the Rangers play. And maybe at some point the fan base starts to notice a pattern.
Mhm.
That's kind of how it works. Got a super chat here from JTB Hockey. Really appreciate the super chat. Thank you. We'll gladly take the 1 point tonight. Let's get 2 points tomorrow. Also, don't sleep on Finland in the Olympics. Hashtag Suomi. Trust me, we will not be sleeping on that Finnish team. Not just because the Kraken are going to have 2 players on it, Kaapo Kakko and Eli Tolvanen, but also because that is just one of RJ's favorite international teams to watch anytime there's an international tournament.
Yes, I always root for Finland. Ever since the World Juniors, with the overtime winning goal from Kasperi Kapanen, I was hooked because it was in Finland and just the atmosphere and everything. I'm like, okay, I'm rooting for the Finns from now on and all the international stuff. So they are my go-to team, and yeah, I never sleep on them. Although it is tough, they're going to not be without Alexander Barkov, who would have been their best player. So that sucks, but still going to be rooting for them. And also, actually, we our Finnish friend, one of our Finnish friends, Samuli, reached out to us earlier today, talking about how
Nice.
fun it's been covering the Kraken, and even to give along a secret rumor that I can't say right now, but I will tell you later.
Okay. I can't wait to hear that. Yeah, no, and one of the things that I love about the Finnish teams, and we've talked about this in the past for other things, is unlike Team USA, Team Canada, and even Team Sweden, they all managed to, I don't want to say like put their egos aside, but they managed to play a really complete team game. Like there's just no, it doesn't matter what kind of star power they have, that team's going to come out and play a very specific brand of hockey, and they're going, and everybody's going to be on the exact same page with it. Where one of the things that I think Team Canada, Team USA, and Team Sweden run into is they have so much talent, so many good players, that and so many creative players, that it can be hard sometimes to get guys in sync with each other, because they're all trying to go out there and create, and guys are just create and think the game differently, and they run into problems with that. Never seems to be a problem for the Finns. Even when they have like good creative players, they just seem to know how to communicate with each other in a way where everybody's still on the same page, even when they're letting their best players be creative and break out of their system and all of that kind of stuff. It's just they never run into that the way the other countries do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the kind of like chemistry and balance that I think can only be achieved in a good sauna.
Yes, that is clearly what it is. They
That's what
all,
I'm left to guess as to
yeah,
why that's happening.
maybe all like video room type meetings and video coaching and all that stuff should be taking place in a sauna. Like it just, it helps unlock, you know,
It
something.
wouldn't surprise me if for them it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me either. We'll have to ask Tolvanen or Cabo Caco what the secret is, and if it is the sauna. Maddie, I've noticed the players seem to have a bit more pep in their interviews and such. Seems like morale is higher, and I think that's translating to better play. It definitely does. That is something that any player, current or former, any coach. I mean, it was another thing Steve O'Rourke talked about with us today. Will say when you're winning and when things are just kind of working the way that they're supposed to, everybody just feels happier, and then that feeds into more winning, and it all just kind of goes. I mean, Joey last year talked about how at the beginning of a season, if you know, good or bad, once momentum starts getting in one way, it tends to snowball and tends to carry through the rest of that season. And last year it was bad momentum, and then that kind of carried through the rest of the season. They weren't able to really get out of it. This year it's been the other kind, and they've been able to kind of work their way through the difficult patch that they had a couple months back or a month or so ago, and get back to this place where they can go out there, and even on a night like tonight where they don't walk away with a win, they at least still get a point. They play a close game, and they have something that they can move forward into tomorrow with.
Yeah, if you didn't bring up the Joey quote, I was going to, because I've been thinking about that so much over the course of this season with the start the Kraken had where they didn't play very well, but they kept getting the results in their favor, and how that kind of does snowball until it buys you some time too, until you actually can start playing a little bit better and maybe earning those good results a little bit more. And it's just been that way for the Kraken this season. And really even within games too, where
Mhm.
they've had some bad starts, haven't been punished for it. And by the third period, I'm like, wow, how'd they get away with this? But they're actually then playing better. Like, oh yeah, they were the much better team over the third period. They deserve to win it for that reason. It feels like you see it game to game, and you see it over the course of the whole season.
Definitely. So
And as
excited
Mason
for
pointing
them.
out too, like basically that's exactly what Bottrell talked about with Saravalli this morning, and
Yeah.
Saravalli even after Bottrell left, like was talking about that phenomenon.
Yeah, definitely. It is a very real thing for sure. Stratic, I need to know Morgan Geeky's feelings on Mario Kart World intermission tracks. Yes, that would be very interesting. We had new Mario Kart. There was just nobody to talk to. And also, like, have they switched to Switch 2s? Is everybody still rocking the original Switch? Like, who made the upgrade? Did everybody make the upgrade? Like, that was something that I thought about too, because you assume they're all going to upgrade. They're professional athletes; they can probably afford it. Maybe somebody helps out the young guys on the team, not making too much. But I've always wondered about that, going all the way back to the 24/7 Penguins versus Capitals HBO series, where the Penguins were rocking the PSPs on the team plane many years after that console had kind of faded from relevance. And so I've always been then curious, how often do NHL players actually upgrade their gear? I'm genuinely curious.
I mean, you'd think it'd be a priority given one, how much money they have, and two, how much travel they do. Like, if I
Yeah.
traveled as much as they did, I would spare no expense with the mobile entertainment arsenal that I had at my disposal. And certainly with the Switch, like, that's an easy purchase to make. Did you ever have a PSP, Dylan?
No, I did not.
You didn't? Okay. I used to have one, and I remember the only game I actually remember playing on it was like the Wayne Gretzky hockey game. It was
Nice.
like Gretzky NHL, whatever year that was.
2004,
I
2005.
2000, I think it was 2000 PSP. What year was that? 2006? It
Yeah,
was
this
just called
feels about
Gretzky
right.
NHL. I'm looking it up. But anyway, yeah, that'll date me pretty well.
Yeah, I remember they tried to port that game over to the Wii and use like the motion control remote so that you had to like stick handle and like take a shot that way. And I remember it never worked
No, that would have been
at
bad.
all. At all. Blake Bolden predicted Germany will win bronze. So okay, we're not alone on this. We're not alone. Um, let's see. Let's get some Kraken stuff in here. Haley, did you see Gru shove Hamilton with leaving the ice? Did I miss something? I
I
don't
didn't see that.
remember seeing that. No. I'm trying to think
I
of
pulled it back up on the broadcast here, and I'm like watching again. All I have is the Kraken broadcast here, but I see Heischer scores, Grubauer flips the other way. They cut away from it, and they just show the Devils celebrating, and then more Devils celebrating. Very close up shot. Then the Devils crowd, and then Devils crowd celebrating, and then and then Grubauer just skating off. No Devil within
interesting.
close to him at all. So no, I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, interesting. So, we'll have to see if more things come out. I can't think of anything from the game that would cause like I don't remember any big like Dougie Hamilton Grubauer interaction really.
There shouldn't have been any reason for them to be very close to each other,
No.
given that Dougie Hamilton's a defenseman.
Yeah. No. But yeah, interesting. And then yeah, Mason saying what you said, Dylan, was almost verbatim what Bottrell talked about with Frank Saravalli this morning, because that's what they all talk about. That's just what every hockey person talks about. Whether you're talking to general managers and front office staff, coaching staff, players, it's just the way it is. And so I have not had the chance to go back and listen to Jason Bottrell with Frank Saravalli because I was at Torrent practice when that was happening. But it doesn't surprise me that he would talk about that like you've already talked about, RJ, because that's just the way these guys roll.
Yeah, and I did listen to that whole appearance to see if there's anything new or noteworthy. Nothing really stood out to me.
What could he say? Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to be trading Jamie Alexiak tomorrow.
They asked him how he's going to approach the trade deadline, and he said, "Well, you look at all sorts of things all the time,
Yeah. I was also, part of the reason I haven't gotten to it is because I also know there's probably not a huge need to.
Yeah.
It's not.
I will let you know if there's something, and there won't be something.
Yeah, exactly. Mason is less can they afford to switch to, and more can they get one? And Striatic switch to is a bit larger and less portable than the original. Not as good for the road trip. It is larger, but I mean I've played it on a plane. It's not too big for the plane.
Yeah, it's doable, I think.
Especially because if you get like a good you stand it up, good tray in front of you, slap the Joy-Cons on the little connector thing so it's like a little controller, you'd be fine on a
I bet these guys have a little bit more
trip.
room to work with on the plane than say you or I would.
Yeah, probably. Felix, 66.5% chance of making the playoffs. Yeah, that is true.
Money Puck, I'm sure.
Money Puck, I'm sure as well. Look, at this point, like we've been talking about, they would have to really kind of work at it to, I feel like, not make the playoffs, just given where their points percentage is and the way the rest of this Western Conference is kind of playing right now. I mean, Utah's starting to pick up, so I think that game on Saturday could be like a little bit, interesting. Mm-hmm. But I think like it's on the Kraken at this point. Like as long as they just keep playing and they play like they play tonight, they should be okay.
Yeah, no, I think the path is certainly there, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. Like we weren't shy about it in our last podcast. And then Felix asking, like, saying yes, Money Puck. Is there a better website for playoff odds? Personally, my go-to is Hockey Viz. odds.com. I tend to think that's a little better in terms of playoff odds. They have the Kraken at 38.5%. It's usually how these models go for the Kraken is that Money Puck really, I think, kind of overrates their chances, whereas like Dom Lucian from The Athletic really underrates their chances.
Oh
And for me,
boy, does
Hockey
he.
Viz, oh yeah, and for me, Hockey Viz feels about just right, and they have them at 38.5%. That said, that 38.5%, that is the eighth best odds, playoff odds in the West. So like they still have, if you just go by the odds here, they would make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's one where I don't know that there's always one specific model that you should totally go with. I think it's one of those where like you check all of them and then you kind of get a picture based on how the different models view certain teams. Because like Mason saying Hockey Viz LA is at 79%, which seems really high. That does feel high for
It's down
LA
under
and the way they play.
75%, I think, after like these games.
Okay. But it's one of those
Still,
where
that's high.
yeah, it's in order to have like as complete a picture as you can, you unfortunately have to like do the work and look at everything and kind of then figure it out and kind of take it on the aggregate. Because for some reason, again, the NHL hires all the people that really figure out the good proprietary models, and then they don't share.
No, they
Why won't the
keep it to
Kraken just share
themselves.
that data with us? The Kraken probably have a more trustworthy model than these.
Yeah, and I'm sure it says, it gives a more optimistic view than anything we can see, because apparently every team's internal model says better things about their own team than what we can see publicly.
It's
Funny how that works.
It is crazy, isn't it? It really is. Mason Dillon in his first class seats, all the room. I do not have first class seats. I was sandwiched between the Kraken front office in the first row, not in first class, but that was because Julia's parents had a free upgrade that was expiring at the end of the year, so we threw it onto our flight. They were gracious and let us have that. I'm normally a back of the plane guy personally. If it's not going to be a full
up
flight,
at the front in the first class, then you might
go
go to the back.
And when I'm flying back down south, always going in and out of Burbank, unload and load from the back of the plane. I could be the first person off of that thing if I'm in that back row. So love that.
Burbank the best.
I don't know why more airports don't let you do that. Like, come on, just let me walk down those stairs and get out of there. Oh, it kills me when I then sit on the back of the plane, come back up here to Seattle. It's just like, texting whoever's in the cell phone lot to get me like, just give me like 45 minutes while I wait for every other person to deplane.
Yeah, we're at the gate. Don't worry about that. Just take your time.
You can leave the house now, actually, if you want to come and get me. Especially if flying to Alaska, I'll be at like the end gates. I got to take the little, tram.
Oh, the little tram
back over. So it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Still got like 7 minutes to talk about the CTAC trying to rebrand as SEA. Have you seen that?
No, don't get me started on CTAC. Maddie, how have you felt about Schwartz being back? I feel like Schwartz slotted right back in and didn't really miss a beat. I felt like for a player who missed as much time as he did going back into that first game, RJ, there really wasn't a lot of rust to his game. I think that, it was maybe an aggressive scoring pace that he was on a little bit, that he was going to be like the league leader in points and everything. I didn't know if that was going to be sustainable anyway. So the fact that he hasn't really put up a lot of points in the 2 games that he's been back isn't like a big deal to me. That's not like a warning sign. I think he's been playing 3 games that he's been back. I think what was interesting is that his ice time was down today. And I'm wondering kind of what that's about. If I missed something in this one, I know it was kind of like a rough game for him in that line in this one. So I guess we'll kind of see if maybe the rust was delayed.
Maybe.
I didn't think he looked bad in the Rangers game or the Carolina game. The Carolina game being the more, relevant game to look towards. First game back and better opponent.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, I think he's still just kind of out there doing his thing. It's just been some low event games. You look at the Carolina game and like Kraken had 12 shots on goal. Like they were playing the way they were going to play, right? It was just trying to hang in there. And I think Schwartz was like solid defensively, but no one's putting up big numbers in that one. And then, in the Rangers game, he doesn't get on the score sheet and they do score 3 on a man net, but like I don't know. I don't see enough to be alarmed. The Stevenson line had a rough game tonight,
It was
but
rough.
that's they're the sacrificial lamb line. Like that's what they do all season. They get the toughest matchups and they get caved in. And Schwartz is kind of along for the ride with that. It seems.
Right. And have we been underselling that? I mean, the Kraken have always had that line. I mean, this was the idea with Alexander Wenberg back when he was with the Kraken. It's kind of always been the idea with Chandler Stevenson. Does it not feel like this is the first time in Kraken history where having that line go out there and chew up those tough minutes actually means that the other line is benefiting? Right? That like Jordan Eberle's really actually getting going. Matty Beniers is actually getting going. I guess maybe last year you could argue that the Matty Capo Caco, like kind of Jared McCann line was able to take advantage of that. But it actually feels like this year it's actually making the difference that it's supposed to have been making for the 5 years that they have been doing this.
I agree with you that it's doing what it's supposed to do. I would also add parts of year two, where the Wenberg
Okay.
line was eating
Yes.
some tough matchups, and the other lines were just feasting down the lineup, and especially the fourth line. Even though I don't think that deployment really affects, it's going to be fourth line versus fourth line no matter what you do. But even further down the lineup, it led to the Kraken scoring, and so not since year two really that I think it's been a prolonged effect like that.
Yeah, because even in the days of like Yanni Gord, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Ellie Tolvanen, like again, they were third line going up against other third lines. Like that was just a better third line than most teams could put together. And so they won those matchups. But yeah, I guess I should have specified first line only. But yeah, it's an interesting one. And then Olivia here, interesting tidbit from Canner's Media. I didn't realize this was Dunn's third multi-point game in the past 5. No, Vince Dunn has definitely picked things up in Brandon Montour's absence. It took him like a little while. It's not like he's been doing this the whole time. But I noticed that the other day too, that Vince Dunn is kind of finally putting together the points this year, because his points pace has been a little slower than it has been the previous, really, basically until you go back to season 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that on the surface could be cause for alarm, but I think that shouldn't be a surprise given the system that Lane Lambert has everybody playing. That's going to rein in a lot of the risks that Vince Dunn takes. And I think that's where he had a lot of his point production when he's had those on seasons, is just being allowed to go out there, take a bunch of risks, make a bunch of plays that'll lead to goals, and you'll get points on those, but also make a bunch of plays that maybe lead to goals against. I think he's kind of had to change his game a little bit, but I think he's finally starting to calibrate a little bit. Okay, here are the risks I can take. Here are the risks I can't. And let's maybe try and be a little riskier in the offensive zone when we already have the puck and I can try and make an ambitious pass, rather than in the defensive zone when I see someone streaking out of the zone and let's try and pass it through 2 guys and maybe gets picked off and it goes back in your own net.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about, because if you look at it from like a goals perspective, he's not off pace at all. Actually, he's very much within his normal scoring pace when it comes to goal scoring. It all has to do with the assists. And I think that is very much because they just have a more controlled and conservative approach to breakouts, working in the offensive zone. This system in the offensive zone is putting more emphasis on the forwards to move the puck amongst themselves. And when it gets moved back to the point, generally you're then looking for point shots, not so much him just to kind of move the puck there. And so I think that's kind of where the scoring dip for him has come, just kind of like what you're alluding to there. And then Jason, Burbank Airport feels like landing in the 70s. It does.
It's great, isn't it?
I won't lie. And then Stratic, the Pacific's going to suddenly get better any minute now. I do think like the Western Conference at some point is going to wake up. There's too many teams
next season
for it to not happen. Sure. Yeah. Like, yes, it's going to definitely be better next season, but like Utah's kind of waking up right now. Would it surprise you if Anaheim figured it out and then was somewhat relevant again? You just think they're going to be 1-8-1 every 10 game stretch for the rest of the year?
Not that bad, but they're going to be roughly 500, and that's not going to be good enough.
Probably, potentially, yeah.
I still don't believe
Nashville's figuring it out for some reason, but they're not good enough.
No, they're not good enough. They're still like 6-4 in their last 10. Like that's the ceiling for any of these teams, is like 6-4 out of a 10 game stretch. No, like there is not a single good team, outside of, the big 5, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Vegas, Edmonton. Not a single good team. And it's not going to change. Like no team's going to figure it out and turn it around.
I want Utah to be that team just for those guys. But
No,
I don't think
it'd
they
be
are.
fun for them, but they're not going to.
Yeah, I don't think they BR. And then Mason Sound of Hockey posted something similar about that, about just how difficult the game situation Stevie's line has been playing in. Yeah, I mean it's been the kind of like narrative going around right now. That's why we talked about it. The team's been talking about it. They've been talking about it. Like that's very much what the the idea has been. But again, the idea has been that all along.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it plenty last year. I think before people were really getting on it, we talked about it. Of course, we put it in the context of like, okay, that's the job Wenberg had, and his numbers were worse than Wenberg, and Wenberg,
Right.
at least in the previous season, faced tougher competition. So like you compare it to that. We just had an issue with, I think, if you're gonna go with the whole sacrificial lamb line strategy and bring in a center to do that job, do you have to give him that kind of money over 7 years? Can't you
Right.
just pick somebody else you're gonna have less of a commitment to?
And maybe somebody who's more defensively minded.
Yeah,
Right?
that'd
Like
be
if
the
the
idea
idea
also.
is that you
That's
got to
like, you
run
usually
somebody
see a
out there.
defensively minded center playing that role. You don't see a guy who's like an offensive guy, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Jason, I still think the Kings and Oilers should figure things out. I agree that those would be two teams that could potentially wake up. Like at any day now,
Kings, no
RJ,
Oilers,
the
yes.
Kings could fire Hiller and bring in Pete DeBoer, and I think that team figures it out enough to go on a little run to close out the season.
Sure, but they're not going to. They're not going to fire Hiller.
They could.
No, I think
they could. I'm telling you that they can. Like they have the power. If you're listening, Ken Holland, you have the power. You could be doing this like right now and making your team better.
They're not going to do it. I have this for you, Red Glare, on for like the Red Glare podcast too. So actually, all of you can listen to this on Red Glare on Friday. Like I have plenty to say about the Kings, and like it's past the point of no return. I think for me, like where I'm convinced they're not going to fire him, even though all the signs say to fire him.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll kind of close things out here with these two from Mason real quick. Random question based on the more controlled zone exits. Do you think someone like Jugnauth will struggle in the Lane Lambert system? Not so much. I would have said yes if you asked me over the offseason, but watching him with Coachella Valley and how much he's really reined himself in to play within the a system, I think that there's, potential there, and I don't think he would clash so much. I think it would be the same thing like Vince Dunn. He'd play to the system, and you're not going to see the gaudy numbers that you would normally expect to see from a guy like that, but it would not be because he was clashing with the system.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, I mean, just after seeing players that, again, he's a very different player than Jugnauth, but like even someone like Cale Fleury, how well he has gone in there and done well in the Lane Lambert system. And I wouldn't think he'd be like the type of guy who would fit it. I don't know. I could believe in just about anybody they have making it work. And at the end of the day, we're talking about like serviceable third pairing defensemen. That's what Jugnauth's real ceiling is, I think. And that's all he needs to be.
Right. Exactly. And I think that I'm with you. That's what we're talking about with him. And then for Mason, the context used on that post was more about the love the fourth line is getting. Like, yes, they're playing well, but they also have been playing against the lower lines from opponents. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, fourth lines always face off against fourth lines.
Yeah, largely. All right, from Felix here. Alexiak at a second for Elias Pettersson. You doing it?
Of course. I mean,
I know.
not if I'm Vancouver, but
I was going to say
Seattle.
That's a crazy one if you're Vancouver, but I would definitely do it if I'm Seattle. One more time, RJ, I'll let you talk about the beer hall. One thing we haven't done in a long time, talked about their burger of the month.
That is true. Yes. And I'm checking to see if it was January or December, if it's the Firehouse burger that they had, because I know that was the one I was excited about. Now I'm looking it up. You put me on the spot here.
No, I know. Sorry. I should have given you a little bit more heads up on that. I'll answer Maddie's question here real quick while you look it up. From Maddie, since we're playing better, do you think we still move some peeps at the deadline? I would hope so, but I know teams in playoff positions are less likely to sell. We covered that pretty extensively yesterday in the deep dive. The TLDR, although I definitely recommend going and listening to the podcast, is for anybody, is that they potentially still could move Alexiak because you have the defensive depth to do that, but we don't think that they're probably going to be too aggressive at this deadline buying or selling. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for them to do either, given the spot that they're in. So that's the long and the short of it. But we go very in depth into different scenarios and options for the team on the pod.
Yeah, definitely. And then, all right, I have it here. The big smack. No clowning
Smack.
around. Yes, this is maybe targeted a certain other burger joint that may be a famous one as well. 2 smashed patties of our brisket and chuck blend, grilled onions, American cheese, pickles, and our special sauce smashed to perfection. I'd take this over a burger, well, really a burger from anywhere else any day, but certainly from any arches of any color.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Very good. No, that does sound pretty solid there. That's a good one. And
I was
just
ready to
again, it
talk about
feels,
the Seahawks game. Like it's the atmosphere is going to be
oh
crazy.
my
Really, at
gosh,
all
it's
3
gonna be
hall
crazy.
locations on Sunday for the Seahawks game.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be crazy. I don't know. It was just such a staple, right? To talk about the burger of
I
the
know.
month, and we
I
just haven't had the
it's
opportunity.
I feel
And the
like we've lost
celebrity
it a little
ping
bit.
pong got in the way.
I had to exactly. I had to prioritize
You
the
did.
celebrity ping
It
pong
was
there.
the right thing to do. You made the right call.
Yeah.
But definitely wanted to get that one in there. Thanks to Queen Anne Beer Hall for sponsoring, as always. Want to thank everybody for listening. Really appreciate all of the support, and we will see. Those of you who are already patrons, maybe you want to check out the Patreon tomorrow for that live game commentary for the Kraken game against the Bruins. Really looking forward to that one, and then we'll see you all either there or next time.